making the effort to leave your warm homes when it's dark at 4:15. So it makes a big difference. If I go home, don't ask me to come back out. So many of you may not know me yet, but I plan to have the next year to change that. But more importantly, I want to get to know you and know the folks in your communities and your neighbors. So, but a little bit about myself. I live in Evansville. I've been in Indiana for 32 years, originally from Cincinnati, but I'm a Hoosier. I've lived here longer than I haven't, and I've always been in Evansville. I am a city councilor at large, where I serve as the finance chair. So this is my first term. I serve as the vice chair of our solid waste board. So I joke and say I get to talk trash all the time. And several people are like, well, that's good practice for Congress. So I'm practicing talking trash. I'm the chairwoman of the Evansville Urban Enterprise Zone Board, which is an organization that works to revitalize distressed communities. And I'm a small business owner. My husband and I co-own Virginia Street Properties, which are very small. We own a few properties where we've redeveloped them to try to help add to the affordable housing, clean, safe housing in our community. Only a few there, but I just sold my actual small business that I've been doing for 15 years. I just sold that last week. So it's been a bittersweet week for me, but I'm grateful one of my sweet teammates bought it and is going to continue it and run. It was a business focused on sustainability on Main Street in downtown Evansville. But now that I have sold that, I have more of a ability to have a singular focus on this campaign. So we are all in. My sweet friend Gretchen is a campaign manager. She travels around with me so much. I truly have the best team, mostly women, I might add. Nothing against men. We have a couple men on our team too, but we've got fabulous women and dear friends on our team who are helping us. We announced 5 months ago, which I can't believe. Sometimes it feels like it's 5 days ago. Sometimes it's like 5 years ago. I don't know. But we are at it now full time. We have made our way around to, as of tonight, 19 counties out of our 21. And so yeah, we've got 2 left, hoping to get to those before the end of the year. And that is, and it looks like we're going to keep our 21 counties. Can I get a moment to celebrate that? Goodness, I am so proud of our senators, both Republican and Democrats, who stood up for what was right and what is good and fair, and really celebrates, our values, who we are as Hoosiers. So. My 21 counties, I get to keep all of Greene County. I was even looking at the I was like, don't cut up my Greene County. Let's just go. Get you all. So we get you all. So anyway, like I said, this is 19th county. We've been making our way around, being really intentional about building relationships and getting so that we have boots on the ground, really, when it comes time to start knocking doors next year, making phone calls, writing postcards, that we have our relationships in each one of those counties who are willing to put effort into our campaign. It's not one person's campaign. I truly believe it is about everyone in the 8th district to put effort into our campaign to see us through to November. And we've been building, great relationships, making great headway. And then next year, so we have that. I feel like we're building that coalition. We have like 800 newsletter subscribers in 5 months. So just people saying, I want to get engaged. I want to hear what's happening. I want to learn more about you. I want to see how I can get involved. We've had, I don't know, Gretchen, like 675 or so individual donors, which is really special to me because I would rather have thousands of smaller dollar donations, meaning we have buy-in from way more people and just everyday people like us than, a few corporate PAC dollars, which we won't take. But so it's been great. Our plan now, moving forward, starting in January, we're getting our literature, our walklet, as they say, ready, getting all those things developed. So we'll start knocking doors as soon as it's warm enough. As long as there's not ice on the ground, we'll bundle up and we're going to be knocking. And just making our way around. I spoke with Joe Donnelly. I don't know if anybody remember Joe Donnelly. Yeah. Okay, good. You like Joe? Yeah, he's been so kind. We've talked several times through this campaign already, and he's given me great advice. And he said, he used to travel the state. He'd have his RV. I don't know if you remember that, and he branded, and he would just travel the state and talk to everybody. And so I joked with them. I was like, well, I don't have RV money, but we can get a 10 by 10 pop-up tent that's branded. We've got pop-up tent money. So I'm going to put it in the back of my Subaru, and we plan on just traveling the 8th district up and down, be in as many counties and many communities, as many neighbors, rural towns, and everything in between, to just pop that tent up and put some chairs in and say, let's have a conversation. Because that's what it's about, is face-to-face conversation. Folks that may not typically vote for a Democrat traditionally, but maybe they're not happy with the way things are going. And I want to have a conversation and say and I love that Indivisible is a nonpartisan group, and I love that both parties are represented here tonight, because that's what we need. I was just speaking to, and that's what we're losing. The politics used to be about the art of compromise. And someone was talking to a friend of mine, and they were talking about that and lamenting about how it isn't right now and the divisiveness. And he said, yeah, it used to be about the art of compromise, and now it's a performing art, mostly to an audience of one, might we add. But I have enough maybe naivety, hope, whatever you want to call it, to say I think we can get back to that. And I think there are a lot of people who are ready to return to civility and dignity, integrity, honesty, transparency, all of the E's at the end, all of those things. But truly, to be able to come together and see where we have common shared values amongst, in the middle of party lines, to say we all want our kids to be fed. I think we all want our kids to have a solid education no matter what zip code they're in. We all want to be able to afford health care. We want our kids, the next generation to have more opportunities, not less. And that's not the trajectory that we're in. We want to take care of our farmers. We want to know that we have a reliable food source. We want to know we have reliable, strong public health. All of these things that we can come together with shared values and figure out, speaking of bipartisanship and all that, I was, another friend of mine, he was one of the attorneys that was up in this Supreme Court fight over tariffs. We still don't know the outcome of that, but he was up there, part of that filing, and we were talking about what makes the Constitution great. The three equal, but bodies of government to hold one another accountable, all of these things, and we're not seeing that right now, where Congress isn't stepping into their authority and holding the president accountable. We're not doing our job. They're not doing their job. And talking about, and I think even more so, it's more important to hold your own people accountable, to stand up to that line, like we saw today with the Republican senators standing up and holding their own people accountable. I think it's important. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we were talking about the need for differing opinions and differing ideas to be able to discuss, because that's when you come up with the best end result, is when you have two ideas that might rub up against each other a little bit. There might be a little bit of gridlock. It might take a little, but that's a safeguard. So when you have just one party, one way, everything's getting through, including the bad. That's what this attorney was speaking about, and I'm like, that is so true. And we just need to get back to that, where we can have those conversations, and not have fear of retaliation if we do speak up with a differing opinion. That we can respect one another and value what they say. Well, if nothing else, because they're another human being, and there's dignity in that. So anyway, I will stop talking, because it sounds like you wanted to mediate, or maybe you had a plan.
We have some questions. Ruthie, where are you?
You want me to start?
Yes, I do.
Way to call you out there, Ruthie.
Well, I don't like silences. I want questions. I want all of them.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here, Mary.
Oh, thanks for having me.
What prompted you to run?
Whew, that's a good question. So I never would have thought I would be in politics at all. Like I said, I'm a nonprofit founder and small business owner, primarily in our community. So I had developed wonderful relationships over the years, and I love to serve the community in that way. And then started volunteering at a campaign and started getting some inside views of public service and what that looked like on a city, local level. And then I won't go on to all of those stories, but I remember listening. There were several little nudges, I guess, in terms of even running for city office, local office. Listening to a podcast, even when you're discontent with something, to say, well, how can you be involved? What can you do about it? Is there a local office you can run for? Is there something you can do to be engaged, to make a difference? And I always thought I didn't want to have any part of politics because it was too divisive. There was too much vitriol, all of those things. And then someone gave me a book, and it's called I Think You're Wrong, But I'm Listening. And I was like, oh, that's good. Have you read that book?
Yeah.
So good. It's a Republican and a Democrat, and they wrote this book, and they have a podcast, and I'm like, man, if politics could be like that, then I might want to have something to do with it. And if we all want something different for it, but never get engaged to try to make it different, then how can we expect anything different? So I jumped in, ran for city council at large, was thankful and honored that they chose me to represent them in that way at a city level, and I absolutely love it. I love engaging with the community. I love being able to help folks connect with, to help problem solve things. I love to help all fight for all of the things we want in our communities. Public safety, parks, quality of place, quality of life. We want people to want to move to our communities. Thriving. Then, fast forward a little bit, and I was really sad and discouraged and discontent with what I was seeing on a national level, and thinking, what can I do? I mean, I was just sick at times, and I thought, well, what could I do to help make a difference in that? And started thinking about who's going to run in the 8th district. Never thought initially that it would be me, except Gretchen. I blame her husband, actually, because he had mentioned it way before I even, and I laughed it off. And then more and more people started mentioning it, and I thought, why not me? I am in a place in my life. My kids are grown. I have 3 daughters, by the way, 2 grandkids, and one of my grandchildren, is severely autistic and receives services on Medicaid. And I started paying way more attention to the cuts and the issues with Medicaid, and I fear for the future of his care. One of my daughters is a 4th grade public school teacher. So, we're looking at the dismantling of the Department of Education. And I thought all of these things, I was a small business owner. Tariffs were beginning to impact me. I had thousands of dollars at one point of inventory sitting at the Canadian border. So I'm getting to see these things in real life, but not just my story. So those are my personal stories, but everyone has their story and their impact. And so I thought, what can I do? I could not do something. And so here I am. This is me doing something, and I plan on taking that all the way through to November and being able to make a change. Being able to, and another thing, I never thought representation would be a platform to run on, like a pillar to run on, but to say that's really important. And I don't think we're seeing our representatives show up, be accessible, listen to the people. It's the people's house that we're running for, and and I think they're taking too many directives from the president and not from the people. And so I want to see that change. So, but that was a really long answer. Sorry. I gave you my whole, from city council all the way up. That's one thing I feel like about this particular administration. Like 1.0 brought a lot of people out of apathy and started thinking about, oh, I might need to start paying attention, because I think we can just let politics just, and governance just sort of happen, and we don't really engage with it much. But then 2.0 is really, we're seeing a lot more of that, and seeing how can we get engaged, what can we do that's right in front of us to make a difference. Yeah.
Do you have a plan for how to bring the two parties together? I'm not looking for a structure necessarily, but just
Yeah.
your thoughts.
Yeah, the question was thoughts on how do we bring people together. I was reading an article not too long ago when someone was blaming some of this division on, they don't live in DC anymore. Like our congressmen and senators don't live in DC all the time. So back in the day, they'd have picnics on the lawn. Families would get to know families. They'd know each other's kids, and they would have personal relationships. So it's a lot harder to be doing what they're doing right now when you engage with people as friends, co-workers, people that you respect. I think it's a sad state of affairs when we have leadership naming names and threatening people. And that's just not something, and then we see our representatives parroting that, and that language of the lunatics, the left lunatics, the right, both sides do it, I think one of the things that make me sad, so as a Democrat, one of the biggest things that makes me so sad, I'll get online, I try to monitor that, but they call them Democrats, whatever name. And I'm like, oh, we have allowed other people to define us instead of us really seeing them and defining ourselves. And I think what makes me so angry about that, not only because I know it's not true, and I'm just like, I don't like name calling in general and overarching assumptions about large groups of people. It's no good. But I go into these houses, these rooms, house parties, people invite me into their home. And for example, just recently, where were we? Spencer County. I can't remember the town, but we were in this sweet woman's living room, and someone was talking about patriotism, and they're like, I'm an Army Reserve veteran. My brother's a Marine veteran. My dad's Air Force. We're a very patriotic family. He's a Teamster. I'm a Union gal. I don't know how you all feel pro-Union, but but we're patriotic people. They don't own a flag. They don't own religion. No party owns either. No party owns that. So, and we were just talking, someone was lamenting about that and sharing about that. And this one lady pulls out her purse, and then she's got like a whole grouping of these little miniature flags, and immediately, it's like you couldn't have planned it. Someone talked about patriotism, the flag, and she starts handing out these little flags to everybody. So we're sitting in this living room, and everybody's waving their flag, and then someone starts singing God Bless America. I kid you not, you couldn't make it up. And so then everybody starts singing, we're all singing God Bless America, sitting in this lady's living room, and people are tearing up. And that's who we are. It brings tears to my eyes to think about it. That was like a really special moment to say people love America. People love our neighbors. If we didn't, we wouldn't be here. You all wouldn't be sitting here. I'm sure there are other things to do. If you didn't love our country and think about the freedoms that it affords us and what the fear of those slipping away, the freedom to worship how you choose, love how you choose, walk down the street without fear of being picked up regardless of the color of your skin, or all of the freedom to vote, all of the things that make America actually great. That's what we want to protect, and stand up for each other. Anyway, those freedoms were bought and paid for. I've already talked to a couple veterans here tonight, and you were one of them. Served for quite some time, retired, right? 23 years. Yeah. Robin's oh yes, that's awesome.
Yes. She's got a question.
Okay, what are your top priorities, most important, like near and dear to you?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think basic affordability. Inflation. Everything else is rising, but our wages aren't. Minimum wage has not changed. in far too long.
Forever.
Is that okay? I didn't know if that was a yes or a. I didn't know. Okay, good.
So
Yeah,
71,
It's a
1971?
disgrace.
yeah, it is. It absolutely is. Which only means wages are really going down because the cost of everything's going up and our wages aren't, and so that means technically wages are going down. And utilities, that's the biggest thing I hear as I've traveled around the 8th district. Utilities, gas, groceries, medicine, people having to choose what. Oh my goodness, y'all! I spoke to healthcare. So affordability, healthcare, which those are hand in hand. Healthcare is one of our biggest causes of bankruptcy in the United States, and we have some of the worst health outcomes of a developed country. And I talked to a group of seniors at a high school a couple days ago about city government. Well, they knew I was running for Congress, so then they started talking about healthcare and federal government policies and things. A senior in high school was sharing that. She goes, yeah, my family just got... Gosh, y'all, I don't know what is wrong. I haven't slept, I guess, lately. She said they just got their rates, their new rates for healthcare. And she was talking about how I don't think my family is going to be able to afford our healthcare. And here's a senior in high school sharing that in her class. There is no reason why she should be concerned and fearful about that. I was sitting in a restaurant, and I guess I'm just more keen to hearing things around me. Maybe I'm just a nosy busybody. I don't know. But I was sitting there eating my lunch, and someone was on the phone. Their daughter had her foot up with a cast on it at the table next to me, and she was calling and trying to get an MRI approved. And it didn't sound like it was going to happen. When she got off the phone, and I thought, why are we fighting to get just basic care?
Right.
Healthcare is a human right. So to fight for healthcare affordability, education. I spoke about that and the importance of caring for our most vulnerable with IDEA cuts, our funding cuts, public health. I do have a website, MaryAllenForCongress.com.
So I found your number.
Oh, good. Okay, great. Yeah, you can call me from that. Yeah, I got my number there, my
I
email
called
on there.
and she called me back. She called me back.
Yeah.
I was not going to get someone else.
Yes, yeah. So, and that's the thing. I know it's going to be a lot harder on an 8th district level. 758,000 people is a lot different than 117,000 people in Evansville. But I want to be accessible, and I want to truly represent people. When they call me in Evansville with an issue, the only question I ask is if they live in the city limits. And if not, I'll direct them to who does represent them. I don't ask you if you voted for me. I'm not going to ask if you're a Republican or a Democrat. If you live in our district, it's my job to serve you and represent you to the best of my ability. So, I don't know where I got off on that, but website. So my priorities are listed on there. We're getting ready to add agriculture to that. We met with a bunch of farmers last night, and it was an amazing learning experience. And just to listen to their challenges that our farmers are facing right now it's bad. Yeah.
Thank you.
I have to tell something. I've got a friend that works at a nursing home, and it's a big nursing home in the county. We'll remain nameless, but it's over 100 residents. And she is oftentimes the only nurse in the building for like 135 people. So aside from the Medicaid waiver, which needs to be,
Yes.
what can we do to facilitate that change?
Yeah.
Because I know they just got it changed where they just need to have like one nurse. And it's awful. She can't do it.
Advocate. That's... And until we get people willing to advocate and stand up for that at the state level, at the federal level, I just heard, and I don't know all the details, but to your point, I just heard a group. They're called Voices. Do you all have? They're a federally mandated program, but not fully funded.
Of course.
And they are the voice for folks in long-term care who may not have a voice. And
they
they
probably
were,
called something else. It's probably, like the ombudsman kind of, but they've changed the name.
yes,
Is what it
okay, probably, yeah. So this is the voices of the Vanderburgh County, Warwick, the ones had listened to. They were speaking, and they were sharing about that problem that they had it was in the bill initially, a patient to nurse ratio, caregiver
yeah.
ratio was in there, and they were really excited. They had pushed for this and fought for that, and then it got removed at the last minute. So, hello, welcome. So it's really unfortunate that we need people fighting and advocating for proper patient caregiver ratios.
This is our Green County Nursing.
Oh,
Board of Health.
oh goodness. Okay, welcome. Speaking of public health, you can take it away. How is it going over there?
It's going. It could always be going better. And I'm looking forward to the next legislative session.
Ah, there you go. See? Okay.
That's good.
Yes, 2/3 of our budget was cut. The entire 2/3, right in the middle of us getting started with new programming. After they
She's the county.
we were promised a certain amount, and it was just the rug was pulled right from under us. This public health entity.
Yes. Yes. Did everybody hear that?
No.
Oh,
Talk. I'm sorry. I put you on the spot right as you walk in. I'm so glad you're here.
I'm with the health department here in Greene County, and we were originally funded at a funding level that was cut by 2/3 for 2026. We were originally promised over for all the 92 counties a total of $250 million invested in public health, and then all of a sudden that rug was completely pulled away after we initiated programs for individuals. People are actively participating. And Food is Medicine and other programs, and for 2026 there's no funding.
And we even went to the State House.
say what?
Yeah, we did.
Said he was shocked.
Okay. You want to tell them about the State House, Maureen?
Yeah, oh, when I almost got in a fight?
No, don't tell them about that.
I want to hear it all.
So we went to the State House when RFK Jr. came here to talk to him. We ran up there saying, hey, we're gonna fight for Greene County. You know, we don't want our funding cut. So we actually gave him a plan, what we're doing, and actually the gentleman, Dr., can't remember the name.
Dr. Oz?
Yeah, no, not Dr. Oz. The gentleman we gave the plan to. He's the head of the committee. So anyway, we gave it to the head guy that was there, and he said we had the best plan he's ever seen. And they were gonna try to fight, but
Yeah. So even with the changes with Health First Indiana, the plans that we put together were in line with that initiative. And so we thought that we would have support because we were actually doing what the guidelines had mentioned, and the rug was still cut.
yeah. Like we said, the results we got were incredible. And so he said, oh, this is great. So we were really hoping, but unfortunately it didn't happen. So
so
everyone
sorry.
got cut.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, sorry. Well, in a similar story, I'll share in Vanderburgh County. Vanderburgh County Health Department, I was at an event where they were sharing about their programs and their successes and their mobility upward. In one particular, they were talking about vaccinations, children's vaccinations, and the percentages. And they were talking about the programming that they had initiated, and they were getting up close to herd immunity, not quite there yet, but they were making strides and increasing through education and outreach, and that their programming got cut. And so right at this pinnacle, like we're making headway, and then that funding was cut. And I think in Greene County, I don't know the exact examples of their programming, which ones, but same thing. So public health initiatives are being cut. You know, that was one of the things that's sort of tied to that with us personally in Evansville, we had received a $20 million grant from the Inflation Reduction Act prior to Trump taking office. It was guaranteed, signatures had been, signed, and then the money just wasn't in the bank yet. So the money never came, and that got pulled back. And a lot of people say, well, that was for climate stuff. I don't believe in that. Whatever you want to say. It was environmental justice. So that was the deal. That was the words that they didn't want to see. And part of that, a big part of that, which our health department spoke to, so here's the connection, was a lot of it was for increasing our public transportation. We have Mets Micro, which is on demand through the public through a public service. So it's $2 a ride and on demand, and so many people use that to get to their health department appointments, in which they spoke to that. So just an example, all of these things are connected, and they don't see that. So a loss here is a loss over here, and it's struggling. Our communities are struggling. There's too many losses.
Definitely too many losses, and with our program, and especially the Food as Medicine program, it was a health initiative as well as an economic advancement initiatives, in the sense that we sourced all of our produce, meats.
So
Stand up.
Food is Medicine program.
So with the Food and Medicine program, it was a combination of both, economic development as well as health improvement, because all of our fruits and vegetables, all of our meats were locally sourced. So we used a medical program to enhance the economy within Greene County as well.
So supporting local growers, local
Yes.
farmers,
Yes.
absolutely.
And individuals who were experiencing chronic disease or at risk for chronic disease were eligible to participate in an 18-week program with each week food box support. So they were receiving those fresh, locally grown and produced produce and meat items. And then we were also doing biometrics to show that, their health had improved over the course of the 120 days in the program.
Yes.
Well, I truly believe that people vote in the way that it affects them. What the candidate or whoever can support them, or what's important to them, okay? So, now there's some of us that are nice and bleeding hearts, or whatever they call them, that love everybody, but I'm talking about a lot of people, they, they're interested in what affects them.
Yeah.
Not Johnny Joe down the street or whatever. So, that being said, my interest is in the veterans of Greene County especially. So I'm wanting to know what of course you just said that you were a vet yourself, so I was wanting to know what you would do. I know the TRICARE is up in their medicine on the cost, and stuff. So I was just wondering how you stand in that aspect.
Yeah. I do have one of those priorities on my website is military and veterans. So definitely check that out. I'm very much, one of my sweet neighbors is the number 2 guy at our VA in Evansville. So I get to hear a lot of firsthand from him too, about the cuts. Well, and even in federal employee cuts, 30% of our federal workforce are veterans. So when we're cutting our federal workforce, we're oftentimes cutting it from a veteran. I think they need to be better resourced. We need more mental health care, advocacy for our veterans, and support for our military. Overall, I don't know if there's anything in specifically you're asking, but it comes down to funding too. Doesn't it always? Our budget. And our budget, I think budgets are a moral document. They show our priorities. If I showed you my house budget, you'd think my priorities are fast food. I don't know. Too much. Not really. I try not to, but I need to be on the healthy food is medicine program. But no, really, our budgets show our priorities, and I think our priorities are out of whack a bit. So I'm trying to think of, even our, if we, like, 3% of our military budget could end world hunger. I'm a member of Veterans for Peace, and so part of that initiative is to help educate folks on the cost of war, not just, primarily the personal cost and lives, but the financial cost as well. And, again, so just showing where are we putting our dollars, even if to talk about immigration, to say how much we're investing in these facilities, into ICE, into all of the, what if we put that money toward creating pathways and a more efficient and effective process? It can be two things. We can have secure borders. We want and need secure borders. And we can create legal pathways that are more effective and efficient, that don't cost a ton of money to figure out. We need reform in that way. So what if we put money toward that versus what we're seeing now? Just that type of thing. How about, we need to invest in our veterans, though, to answer your question, and make sure that is a priority. Those who have served us, we need to make sure we serve and take care of them. There are too many veterans who commit suicide every day. The statistics are horrific. Yeah, they need our support. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Good. You talk about all these programs that you want to do, which sounds really great. I agree with them.
Mm-hmm.
But how do we pay for it?
Yeah. Well, first of all, people need to pay their fair share of taxes.
They don't want to do that.
Well, sorry. There are 3 people in America who make more than the bottom 50% of the United States. It should not be that way. And it just shouldn't be that way. So, and they've got us off fighting amongst ourselves versus looking up and seeing, so if millionaires, billionaires, now trillionaires would pay their fair share of taxes, I'm not saying any more, that would fund a lot. And again, it's about our priorities. People say, oh, healthcare is going to cost so much money. How do we pay for that? Well, if you actually look, and statistically, it can save money. There are ways. Look at us. A healthy workforce is a stronger workforce. So preventative care is cheaper than disease care. When people don't want to go to the doctor because they can't afford to, and then they get sick, and they wait, and then they go to the ER. Who's paying for that? And the higher prices. So it actually may not cost as much as we, I think, have been conditioned to think in the long run. So, yeah. And I don't know that I have all of the answers and solutions, but I know what's not working. We know what's not working, and I think what's lacking is a curiosity and a willingness to dig deep and to think, what are other ways? And there are other countries who are doing it differently with better health outcomes. People aren't, 25% of our debt collection is healthcare. So yeah, we know, so we need to just dive in and think, what are other ways, better ways that we can do it?
So how can we move this thing forward when we have things like Citizens United?
Oh, we've got to get rid of citizens. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we need to flip seats in Congress is one of the ways to do it.
How difficult is that when you have things like, in this particular case, Citizens United?
Yeah, that's true. That's one of our priorities on our website too, it's called Building Back Trust. And it's like, how do we get money out of politics and campaigns, which is getting rid of Citizens United, is a big part of that. And there are more people who are fighting for that than, and actually want that. And maybe not the people in power right now, not a lot of the people in power right now, but a lot of people who are running, I hear them saying that. I think it's getting to a tipping point where people realize how disastrous of a policy that was, a decision that was.
There's multiple decisions like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's just the most obvious.
right.
So,
It is, which it should be it wouldn't be the easiest, it's just the most obvious, you're right.
But there's a-
Sorry, you had a
piece right
question.
now That will
Oh.
advance Citizens United. It was just heard yesterday.
well, that's another problem. The Supreme Court is another problem.
So we need limit, I know, there are a lot of problems to solve, for sure. You had your hand up a couple times, sorry.
If elected, what's the first bill you would author?
That's a good question.
If you're running for office, you already
Yeah,
have some
well,
plans
to
do.
end Citizens United, first of all, I mean, if we can get rid of that, it helps a lot of other things. And then I'm gonna join others in creating healthcare for, expanding healthcare that is affordable, or for all, whatever we need to work our way to, but those have to be first.
Good.
Yeah.
You mentioned tipping the scales, of power. I think personally, one of the best ways to tip that scale of power is when the people who are in Senate, Congress, are of the people.
Yeah.
And one way to do that, I believe, is term limits.
Mm-hmm.
And then an individual should not be making more money than what the state's national average is, because that will immediately make you one of the people. And as one of the people, your voting interests change.
Woo! That's
right.
And how
Yeah,
would you
right.
support that?
Yeah, term limits for sure. We've talked about that quite a bit, getting rid of, and are you talking about state positions or
State
federal positions? Because I'm running for federal.
State and federal.
Okay, yeah, so,
If you make the national average.
so we'd be talking about DC's, what they make in DC
DC.
versus, because I don't know
in
apartment
the
prices.
national
And
average.
I'm gonna be sleeping in my office as it is, okay?
What you make in Indiana, and then
Yeah.
when you're not at work, you should not get paid, just like everybody
Right,
else.
oh,
You don't go
when
to
they
work.
shut down the government, Congress should be the first ones that get their pay stopped. Absolutely, it's the craziest thing. Some of this stuff just seems so common sense, I don't understand it. They need to ban stock trading for Congress. You should not go into Congress making $175,000 and come out a millionaire a year or two later because of, right? I mean, both parties have done it. Both parties have done it and are doing it.
And I'm not so upset about the stock trading as I am about taking, campaign money, PAC money.
Yeah.
Yes, and if those things would end, I believe people would vote correctly,
Yeah,
because
but
they
they're
would
not
be
bought.
voting for their own interests
Yeah,
as well.
that's right, not just the corporation's
Shouldn't they
interest.
wear like the NASCAR? I've heard this, but where you
Oh, that's funny.
where you wear the NASCAR shirts or who
So-
bought and paid for it?
Of who paid for your
Yeah,
campaign,
yeah.
wear it on your.
You would know.
That was one of the first questions I got was, will you take Centerpoint money? That was one of my first questions, and I said no. I didn't on city council, not that they offered it, and I won't here. So I have zero plans to take corporate PAC money. The only PAC money I have taken some union PACs. They have donated to my campaign. City council wise, they can't on the federal level. That has to be an international PAC. But no, I agree with term limits. And I don't know, I think maybe age limits need to be on the table. I mean, yeah, right.
No, that doesn't work.
No, truly, yes.
What kind of term limit would you do for, say, a senator? How many terms?
Senator, a 6-year, two.
Pardon?
Two. I know, you can answer two. I know, it's fine. We agreed. I'm glad we said it at the same time. That was good.
12 years.
2 years, so that would be 2 terms. So that'd be 12 years.
But you get some experience in there, but.
Sure. You should have some experience your first 6 years for sure. And then if you get reelected to keep on that trajectory, I I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you lay out and come back then again?
One more time?
Can you lay out 6 years and then come back and run again?
I don't know. I think these are all good questions. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, he's a good senator. I see no problem with reelecting him after 6 years, but
Yeah.
it's hard to come back and run again.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard, you know, I just think too, fresh perspective, you can get in, you can be bought, you can love the power,
That's what happened.
and you can, and then you can be so disconnected to the people, and both parties do it. And you've got to be, I think we can get out of touch.
They don't care anything about the people anymore. All they want is the money.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's all about themselves.
There's some.
Do you have a question?
I actually do. So my question was about AI and just its ability to disrupt sort of the economic and social fabric of the country. And so, you know, with some projections, it's like if you have a situation in 5 years where, say, 30% of the jobs are eliminated because of AI, you know, which is, you know, pretty, you know, aggressive of a timeline, but it is possible. So I'm just wondering, you know, what would you do in a situation like that?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
And I haven't researched it enough to formulate an answer to say what I would do.
Would UBI be on the table at all
But
or
I
something
think
like
we
that?
need to- one more time?
Would UBI be on the
Oh.
table at all, or is
That I don't know that we would want to just take something off the table right away. I think
Right.
assessing and thinking about any and all options are good.
mhm.
I need to research. I know we're talking a lot about data centers and those things. I saw Italy, I think maybe is the first country to have some regulation around AI. I think it can be a great tool, but I think we need to be responsible with it and
think
see
we've
how
already established
all of the long-term impacts. I don't, you know, I would need to learn more about that. Gretchen, will you take a note on that? So we can.
I don't think we could be responsible with AI. I don't think it should be in the hands of billionaires. I worry about, I use like Chat GPT sometimes if I'm trying to, you know, find the wording for something, but I'm thinking to myself, if I'm looking up something, how do I know that person that's got the AI or whatever, the got algorithms, whatever, is feeding me information that is incorrect? I mean, misinformation, which is my big worry with,
Yeah.
is that, and privacy. Privacy has
Yes.
got to be, I want that to be a priority. I don't like Musk or
She
anybody having
wants privacy to be a priority. I don't know if
Yeah.
you can hear up there. Sorry.
I've got a big mouth, I can talk real loud.
So privacy is really important, and
Truth.
ensuring, and
truth.
ensuring, safeguards around misinformation.
Well, yeah, I mean, the lies that are, and at the rate the lies that are told over and over again, and immediately it's the hook, and
Right.
and people believe the most outrageous, ridiculous things.
Well, I always say just because it's repeated doesn't mean it's true.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, she's been, and then Blake, we'll get to you.
Yeah, all right, so in Indiana, there's a severe situation going on with data centers.
Yeah.
So what can be done at the national level to put controls on these data centers that are coming in and raping the states
Yeah.
with their own benefits? Like what Indiana has done, has sold all of us down the river with the data centers because they're not taxing them, they're not making them responsible. So I'm looking at, honestly, your job would be
It's to protect.
overwhelming, you know, because we have to fix so much stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
Reverse all the things that Trump has done. I mean, it's just massive. But this would be an environmental issue that affects especially Indiana with all the national, the state parks and this beautiful, and the
Yes.
trees, and, you know, it's like the data centers are gonna come in and they're gonna do this massive damage. They already have, it's proven.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, the EPA has been dismantled, all these
Right.
environmental protections.
Yeah. So we need to get experts back into those as department heads in all departments, for sure. And I mean, they're deregulating faster than we can. You know, we think about our safe air, safe water, conservation of water with the data centers. You're right, staying engaged and regulating. You know, it's like you don't want to. I know people think that's such a bad word, but we have to put protections and safeguards in place for our people. That's our job, is to protect our communities.
Can they be undone now that Indiana has sold us out to these data centers? What could be done to change these things that have already been promised to these data centers? Can there be changes put in place?
No, did you have something to say?
Oh, no, I know,
Oh, okay.
I know about data centers, my brother's in Ohio, and one's right by his house, and his rates increased, like,
Oh, we
you
know what the
it's
repercussions are.
unbelievable.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I know that some state legislation has been authored to, I don't know all the details, but I know some legislation is being attempted and written currently to put some protections in place. I don't know that they go far enough. Some of it is about water consumption. I believe I've seen one. Yeah. So, and ensuring protections and rates going up.
And wastewater too.
And wastewater, yeah.
A lot of that's on a local level too.
Right,
You know,
right.
that your
It's
local
more state
council.
legislation.
And New Carlisle, I just saw before sometime today that New Carlisle voted down that a database or data
Did they?
can be established in their community.
Oh, nice,
So
okay.
It's,
So they're being proactive.
but, you know, they need permits.
Yes.
Greene County doesn't have a permitting, full-fledged anyway, so
Okay.
that's where you gotta call too, not just Mesmer or Braun or, you know, call your local too.
Yes, yeah. She was saying, make sure you call your local representatives to stand up and protect your neighborhoods.
New Carlisle, I think, is up.
Hello, guys. Harold Smith. I'm going to run for District 39 Senate seat. I wanted to come tonight and
great.
listen on the Republican ticket, but I wanted to hear some of your concerns because I think it's important to listen to people. And my question was about AI, but the young lady here had already asked about that because they are estimating 15 to 30% job losses in 4 to 5 years, and so I think that's something that somebody needs to take a stand on and prepare folks for that eventuality. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not if, it's just when.
Yeah.
And then, since she asked that question, I have a concern about, you know, the private companies, for instance, Flock camera systems. They're the automatic license plate reading, and they're unregulated. There's no law about what they can and can't collect. They've been kicked out of 2 states because of what their tactics. They went in and just attached cameras on poles. So if you were elected, what would you do? Would you be interested? Would you author legislation to restrict? You know, they're effective in about 10% of the cases, but 90% of the time, they're recording all of our daily habits and putting it into a central database. And I'm very against that. What would you do if you were elected to protect our rights to liberty?
Yeah. Is that state legislation
Uh,
or is that federal?
It's both.
Yeah.
There's
We're talking
nothing
about doing it in
that
Greene County.
anybody
Yeah.
right now.
I don't know enough data to tell you one way or another what I would author or wouldn't. I would have to research that and see all the data on it. I know we're having the conversation in Evansville right now. I'm a city councilor there on the Flock cameras and their effectiveness, what they're used for and how many we have. So we're having those conversations. But I don't know enough on a nationwide level, and they're sharing capacities, because I know that's been an issue in terms of ICE and various things.
I want to challenge you to really check it
So,
out. Because
I appreciate that
it's
input.
overwhelming. It really is.
Yeah, and that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here too.
Well,
Is
but I mean, you've got to take into consideration Amber Alerts, Silver Alerts, criminal activity. I mean, one offsets the other. I mean, if
Yeah.
you've got an Amber Alert and you can immediately, you know, pull up and track license plates and numbers, or a missing, you know, person, or criminal activity, there again, if they're not doing anything criminal,
Yeah, I will tell you,
they do a lot of good.
I was skeptical, and I called my police chief coming from that angle, and he shared 3 incidences that had happened within 2 weeks of when one was finding
I mean, if there's a missing child,
on the back of a motorcycle, actually, and that was, they were able to get it because of that. So I need to research both sides, and then ask people, what do you think? So, and that's why I'm here. So that's a great question. That's not something, and that's been the challenging thing of, there are so many things to research and know and formulate an opinion on, and try to do as much information gathering, opinion gathering that you can, data gathering, objective facts you can't, fight with, if it's objective facts. So I appreciate you putting that comment and question out there. Definitely something to think more about. So as a state legislator, if you win, what do you plan on putting out there for the state
Well, the very first
for
thing
that, so I can hear your opinion?
As far as the flock camera system, well, first of all, they would have to be regulated. They've got legislation in place that allows the state employees to use cameras in speed zones and issue tickets. I'm fine with that. But I would legislate, they're wanting to monetize the interstate system here in the state of Indiana because they readjusted the budget. We got a 20 to 30% reduction in income. I heard you speaking about each county. Well, I don't think they should put toll roads in and use that camera system to collect tolls. So I would introduce legislation to limit, just to keep it at speed zones only, and not allow toll collection as another source of revenue for the citizens that travel all the time. They're doing that in New York, and they charge $15 a day to go down into lower Manhattan and Pennsylvania. And I think that's wrong. That the governor is taxing folks to discourage cars and congestion. I get that, but I would prohibit that.
Sherry didn't make a complete stop. Oh, I don't want to bust you out, but Sherry didn't make a complete stop in Chicago, and she got a ticket in the mail. Nobody was around.
And I think what would happen is that we have a budget shortfall, and I think they would use that cameras in local areas to generate more revenue. Look, who doesn't speed here? At every transgression, you're going to get hit with a ticket. I'm sorry. That's my weakness.
No, that's good input. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, Blake, that's right. Yep.
So you talked a little bit about not taking tax money, which obviously is a great thing. But how do you plan on competing with Mesmer, who does take tax money and takes a considerable amount of it?
Yeah. It's a great question. I have always said, I'm like,
Everybody get your checkbooks out.
Yeah, that's right.
I've already donated.
I joked and I'm like, I know he'll outraise us. I know that we're prepared for that, but I always say we'll outwork him. And that's my plan. I joke and I talk about the 10 by 10 tent, but it's not a joke, it's for real. So we're gonna go around and we're gonna build relationships, and we're gonna meet people, and we're gonna hear their stories, and we're gonna meet face to face, and I think that makes a bigger impact at the end of the day. But we are raising money. We're doing well. We've even got a campaign that says if you can donate $8 a month for the 8th district, and you do it recurring for the rest of this campaign. If I had 1,000 people doing that, that's $8,000 a month that I can depend on. But and that's an amount that most people, not most, some people can do. And then they have buy-in. They're having a part in this campaign, in our campaign, and it's a little more approachable than someone who gives $1,000, something like that. So it's going to be tough. I will say people are really creative and really supportive, and it's been wonderful and overwhelming. A lady came up to me at a rally, and she said, my book club we're raising money, we're saving money, we're raising money so that we can put up a billboard in one of the reddest counties of the 8th district, you know? And I'm like, I'm not sure which place we're gonna find, which place we're gonna go.
We put up 6.
We'll find it.
We put up 6.
But truly, so people are creative and they're helping out, they're finding ways to support our campaign in ways that we hadn't even thought. And it's the power of the people that really are gonna make a difference as we galvanize folks and organize in all of these different communities to be knocking on doors for us, that we have a bunch of advocates and they're out, or they're calling their neighbors. So it's neighbors talking to neighbors to share our message. We're on social media. Mary Allen for Congress on Facebook and Instagram. We're starting a TikTok. Haven't done it yet, but I need a cool kid to help me out. But follow us there, and if you can share our stuff with your friends on social media, like I was talking about our newsletter, we send that out about twice a month. I've had people respond to me and say, my friend sent me your newsletter, and that's how I heard about you. So that's what it's gonna take, is exposing me to your circles of people that I don't know. And that can mean just as much as a donation. I mean, we need the dollars, we need to buy literature, we need to send mailers, it is expensive, and we're doing it. And it's gonna take everybody and everything, but it's more than just the money too. We can do more with less. And that's what we plan on doing.
So I really appreciate that you repeatedly said, you know, I'm not educated on that topic. I need to, get more information to be able to have, a full opinion. I really appreciate that, because you shouldn't be expected to be an expert on everything. And we should rely on expert data. As a person that I think is pretty well informed on things, it's difficult to get reliable information.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work to get reliable information. And, would you do anything, legislatively to combat misinformation?
Golly, I mean, there's gotta be, again, protections in place for disinformation. I mean, there's just intentional lies that are being put out. You know, I don't know, then you get into, free speech and too much against our liberties. It's hard. That's a really great question of how do we go about combating lies. I mean, a news channel just paid, millions of dollars? I can't remember the exact settlement that they ended up having to pay, $700 million or something for lies. So it's like, do we just keep attacking and proving, I don't know. I don't want to say, I don't know the answer for sure. But what'd you say?
It's constant litigation anymore.
It is.
The only ones getting into the lawyers.
Yeah, it is constant litigation.
You've got to fact check. I mean, I put out some pretty sarcastic things. Everyone knows my Facebook. It's pretty bad. It's all right. But really, for the most part, I try to just forward actual articles from the newspapers of record that actually have what do you want to call it, where journalism is an art, is a calling.
And multiple sources.
And multiple sources.
Right.
Yeah. You can't just put up, something came across my feed and I was really ticked off about it. And it said that Amnesty International had been to Alligator Alcatraz and said they were torturing. So that's the first place I went. I looked it up, and I found it in the Atlantic, I found it in the New York Times, and I found it in a third place. But when I put it on Facebook, I didn't just write my stuff. I put the link to that article. And it is true, they were there. It is torture. They are doing it. really, really bad, really bad.
I remember
Which-
that was an organization when I went on mission trips, or those people we support, and that's, and I think now they're in the United States looking
Yeah,
at our
we're
places.
we're not a banana republic,
Um,
which brings her to her question. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, I think ultimately, we do have, there's personal responsibility in helping to educate those around us, and there are reliable sources, and we need to fact check and triple check.
We need to get rid of monopolies too.
Yeah.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
Okay, how do you see the future of ICE? Like, what is your opinion? What would you like to see? You run the world. How would you like to see ICE?
Abolish it. She said, what would I do with ICE? I'd get rid of it. I would get rid of it. I'm not saying we don't need, again, we need safe borders. Other presidents have deported many more people than we are now. And we didn't have ICE. So, and have done it in a more humane way with dignity than what we're seeing. So I would get rid of it. A simple answer.
Also, sorry, did anybody have anything else? I could be here all night, but we won't keep you for a little bit.
No.
One of the things I wanted to bring to your attention, you probably already know this, I don't know how much you use the VA system, that as a female, the VA, and probably most doctors were treated as second-class citizens. That's gotta stop, okay? So, I know, I just want to tell you a little story. We walked into the VA in Indy together, me and my husband. He's 20 years older than me, 20 years. And they asked me, was I lost? This is the VA for veterans. I did 23 years, he did 2.
Wow.
Okay? And then when he got tested, they said, oh, you have low testosterone. Things went off, everybody, gotta get him.
I know where this
He's
is
almost
going.
80 years old.
Yeah.
And then mine was almost out, and they said, well, you're just getting old, and that's what you do.
Oh.
Okay? So then 2 white men had to calm me down. And
That
one
was
of those
good.
ways,
Good.
Because it's just so wrong, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that, I just wanted to say, I know you're a woman, so that's gotta be fixed.
Yeah.
We need to quit that
Yeah.
in women's health.
Yes.
And-
Yes.
And then they had me do an operation that I absolutely didn't need to have, which is
Like the
hysterectomy.
Yes.
Not partial, but,
Yeah.
and then I found out I didn't even need it. They could have did something else, but the doctor makes a lot of money on it. So women's
Oh.
health
Yes.
is, to
Yes.
me,
Yes.
of the most important. Like, everybody's health is important,
Sure.
you know,
But we.
but mature women,
Yes.
we need you.
As someone who was in postmenopausal, I agree, and had to fight years to figure out some treatment. Gretchen will say amen to that too.
And when I said, wait a minute, my husband's 20 years older and you guys are going crazy, they said, well, hormones are really important for men. That was the response. That is a true
I'm
story.
so sorry. I believe that. Thank you for sharing your story, and I'm sorry. Absolutely.
Do you have a
Women's
Democratic opponent?
reproductive freedoms and abortion, restoring that to the state. I just hate to see the war on Planned Parenthood. It helped me a lot in my younger years, and kept me from being pregnant.
Yeah.
So I know they're shutting it all down, and I'd like to see that, for our grandkids and our daughters.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that. Did you ask?
Do you have a Democratic opponent?
Do I Gretchen actually just told me on the way here that I do.
What was the question?
Do I have a Democratic opponent? So I think she found him on Ballotpedia. Is that right? I will say the 8th District chairs, I'm very honored that they got together and voted to endorse me as their candidate. So then that way at IDEA, so that way they can publicly endorse me, whereas typically they would have to stay neutral. So really happy for that. And yeah, Gretchen, I don't know, do you know his name or? I don't know. Yeah.
We'll find out, I guess.
Yeah. Or you can look at Ballotpedia. I haven't met him. I don't know much about him. So But yes, supposedly someone has filed. There is another Democrat who has filed. Blake?
So in early 2025, there were some large budget cuts to the AmeriCorps program, which is a national youth initiative that was started, in the 30s as the civilian corps. And so they cut, Trump wanted to cut 90% of the budget. And there's an injunction on it currently, from a hearing in June. But I'm a former FEMA Corps member, so I have served for a year, working under the Federal Emergency Management Agency. I'm President Biden. I'm proud. I'm president whenever I can. But the agency is meant to serve our communities around the country. And specifically, the FEMA Corps program serves individuals who are affected by natural disasters. So I was in Florida for 9 months after Hurricane Ian, going door to door, signing survivors up for federal benefits. So it leads me to two separate questions. AmeriCorps is, like I said, very underfunded. On average, I made about $2.06 an hour the entire time I was in AmeriCorps, and I worked 40 to 60 hours a week. Granted, I had a stipend for food. My, hotel room was paid for, but I still had expenses, and I still had a life, and I still had things at home to take care of. So I have questions about, how do you plan to support?
Would you like a coat?
Oh my goodness, thank you. Yes, Julie, you are so kind. I know. Do we need to stand up and do a few jumping jacks, or I know?
We're gonna quit. We're gonna quit at 7:30 because I don't know what it's doing outside. I'm gonna go look. I think it's gonna be fine, but
Okay.
it's Indiana. Come on,
Yeah. I would love to talk about that and learn more about your experience and what that. Yes.
And then I also have a question about your support for FEMA, and
Yes.
there was a tornado in Greene County this year that affected, several people, and it was not handled the best. We have lots of concerns on county and state level, but also FEMA's reaction to the state as a whole coming in.
Yeah.
Sullivan County had a tornado a couple years ago, and they had concerns with FEMA, and so how do we fix FEMA as climate change increases natural disasters and Tornado Alley shifts towards the Midwest, and questions about this?
Yeah.
Supporting FEMA and your stance on supporting science as it relates to weather.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. We need those robust services in place that are ready and responsive. That's not a new issue. I think people complaining of FEMA and its responses, that's nothing new really in the recent times. But unfortunately, I feel like we're going backward recently in terms of FEMA and its support. So we need to change that trajectory and make sure we have a system in place to support our communities when those natural disasters do happen and as they're happening more often.
Excuse me, just real quick, because she's worked on that. When the tornado hit,
Oh.
Sherry was set up in the command center. And go ahead,
Great.
Sherry, stand up, tell them about the funding.
Tell us.
So,
You did a wealth of
Thank
information.
you. I know. I'm so glad.
The federal government actually doubled the amount that a jurisdiction would have to qualify to receive FEMA funding or disaster relief funding. So all of the counties that were affected by the May 16th tornado, all of our counties combined, Greene County, Monroe, we couldn't qualify even presenting as combined because we didn't match the $24 million in damages that had to occur, which was doubled in July of 2024.
So you have to qualify, you have to have
So nobody could get any help.
Yeah.
Because we didn't meet the total amount of
The
damages.
disaster.
The threshold to receive
Don't you
federal
think
funding.
that they've taken the ICE money, they've sucked it away from FEMA? I mean, a lot
So
of
that's
it,
what happened
aren't they
to us
really-
here in Greene County.
Like I said, our priorities.
Yes,
We put our
like you say, priorities, but that's.
So whereas, you know, we can meet that funding, if the same exact disaster happened in Alaska, where the population density is much lower, you know, it probably would have met that per capita, because if you look at statistically, Alaska gets way more disaster declarations because of the way that that's set up. So Indiana has not had a disaster declaration period since the Sullivan tornadoes, whereas Alaska has had over a dozen in the past 5 years.
It's really not for rural areas, you're right.
And we can have a declaration, but if you don't meet that cost threshold for public damage, then there's no funding for individuals. That's what happened to us.
Thank you for sharing that.
This is a really good example of how so many rules are. Rules too often are like Cinderella's shoe.
Yeah.
Too big for some people, too small for others.
Right.
We maybe don't have $24 million worth of damage here, but the amount of damage we have based on our ability to pay.
Right.
So when rules get made, like Cinderella's shoe, it's gonna,
Right.
it really does disservice to a lot of people. Some people might actually get more money than they need.
Right. Yes.
I have.
That's a great point. So it's almost like a tiered approach or some percentage of, yeah, right. Not just a straight up amount that qualifies you or disqualifies you. That's a really,
So
yeah.
I kind of have a question as to, what do you know, when you're in office, you don't get a choice as to what kind of problems come to you. What are you bringing to the table? What do you think your core values are, your core philosophies are that
Yeah.
you're going to lean on to do a good job?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I like that you said when I'm in office, so thank you. If y'all are leaving, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here so much.
Yeah, it's starting to spit, and I
Okay.
just kind of want to wrap it up a little
Grab
bit.
grab a business card so you have my email and phone number, all of that. So
And our
let's
new
stay in touch.
brochure.
Yes, good job in here.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing y'all again. I'll be back. Yeah. I think we all have our core values that we filter all our decisions through. And that's what I do. So you're right, you don't know what problems you face, but what I will always promise to bring to the table is that I'll listen and filter any decisions through input, my faith, or the data that we see, or all and input I'm getting from constituents, that I would promise to say, I'll be accessible, I'll be honest and fair. I remember the Teamster president, when I met him when I was first running for city council, and he said, I don't want you to tell me what you can or can't do, what you will do or you won't do, because you don't know what you're going to be able to do once you get to office. But I want to know that you're going to be honest, fair, and accessible. You tell me that, and you got my vote. And I'm like, well, that's 100%. I can promise you that. That feels like the lowest bar, but that is absolutely what I will bring and do, and that's what I have done. That's the record I've had.
Big round of applause for Mary.
No.
Yay.